Hello, and welcome. Happy Thursday to all of us. I hope you and yours are doing great. Welcome to another community event today on YouTube Live. Also, want to take the opportunity to wish all our American family members a happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day for those who live there or have families that are there as well. With that said, I also want to welcome all the new members that are with us today. Want to welcome you all to the community. Feel right at home. I hope you can be part of this community as you join us in your crypto journey. We are very excited to have you all here with us today. With that said, community, I want to also welcome the veterans, those that are always here regularly, those that always show up, those that never miss a community event. Welcome back as well. We are always very thrilled. We're always looking forward to these events as they give us the opportunity to literally communicate, have a dialogue, express ourselves, have a platform for us where we can share, communicate and add value, and this is also one of our 4 pillars is to develop or nurture a global digital economy, a community that we all participate in. We come from all corners of the world and we can all participate in. Now, as we get to today's topic, as you saw, the topic gave it away. Today's topic is holding on to the original vision of cryptocurrencies. This often gets forgotten, as we are so into, analyzing things, listening to all these current events, and we are so occupied or preoccupied. And we often tend to really forget what was really the vision, what was the main goal, what was the purpose of cryptocurrency, Why was it developed in the first place? What's its use case, And which circumstances were there prior to the cryptocurrency's vision being put in place, So these are things that are very important for us to always keep in mind and remind ourselves, because as we see and we hear all these developments, as we hear all these institutions coming in place and adding value to crypto, all these ETFs that are being flooded now. Now we have Bitcoin and Ethereum. Next is we hear Solana has been applications have been put out, and many more, and so on and so forth. We're not supposed to lose sight, so it's very important for us to really understand what was the vision, and so that we can really hold on fast to the vision, and we can really continue with the vision, because the vision put you and me at the core, at the heart of everything. It put the community, right, the retailers at heart of everything. And we see this shifting. We see this, we slowly losing that vision. And the purpose of today's session is to just put us back in line, for us to understand the purpose, the reason why Bitcoin was developed in the first place, or rather blockchain technology in the first place. And let's understand what that means for us as an industry and as an ecosystem. With that said, let's get back to you. Let's check with you, community. Let's acknowledge everyone that is here today, as we have a lot to cover. Let's get to you, and then after we do that, we can kickstart and continue with today's session. So with that said, let me come and check who's here today, was able to make it. We see Queen Val is here. Hello, family. Happy Friday to us all. What a blessing to be hearing direct from our depths. To our American family, happy 4th of July. Hello, back to you as well, and happy Thursday to you too, Queen Val. This is very good. Queen Val has posted links to our Telegram groups, to all the new members that have the interest to join our Telegram groups. We have links to Bull Run, to Killer Whale, and Survivor. They're all out here as well. So if you're new and you want to be part of the ecosystem, feel right at home. Join the Telegram groups. You are very active on Telegram, very active on YouTube, obviously, and Twitter. We are very active on Twitter too. So those are the social media platforms that we are very active on. And of course, we're also active on Facebook, Instagram, and other social platforms as well. So thank you for placing the links. Meanwhile, we have Queen Beatrice here. Hello, Boran community. Hope you all are keeping well. Greetings to our special winner, and greetings back to you too, Queen Beatrice. Thank you for all your efforts, the commitment, and the consistency as well. You're very much appreciated. Queen Lapi is here. Greetings to the Boran family. Another day to learn more about the blockchain technology that has become a significant development towards financial freedom and empowerment. Thank you, Steve and Queen Mama. Thank you too, Queen Lapi. It's always a pleasure having you in the community, and thank you for your inputs that you put in. Here we have Queen Awino herself. Greetings, queens and kings. It's another day of enlightenment. A pleasure. Thank you so much, Queen Mother Awino, for being here with us. Then we have my great brother Theo. Happy Thursday, my great, awesome brother Steve, dearest great mother, Mama Awino, and my wonderful Bullrun family. I pray that all is well with you and yours. Excited to get started. Let's go. Always a pleasure having you around and seeing you around the community as well. Great brother Theo, thank you for your input, your feedback. We have Queen Patricia. Good evening to the Bullrun family. We are here again for another empowerment session. Always a pleasure seeing you in the community, Queen Patricia. Queen Mother Wino, greetings, queens and kings. It's another day of enlightenment. The decentralized nature of cryptocurrencies enables people from all walks of life to unite. Thanks, Steve, for uniting and educating us. Absolutely. It takes all of us. Well said, Mom. And it takes all of us, to really want to be part of this community. And it's all about sharing, learning from each other, and developing and growing as a community. So very well said, Mom. Queen Beatrice says, greetings, Bullrun community. I hope you are all keeping well. We thank you too, Queen Beatrice. We hope you are well as well. We have Queen Patricia again. Says, good evening, family. We are back again for another session to be empowered. Thank you, Steve, for your commitment always. Thank you. Stay blessed and protected always. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you here as well. And may you and yours also remain blessed. We have Queen Monametsi here as well. Greetings, Boran family. Greetings back to you as well, Queen Monametsi. And we have Queen Patty. Hello, Boran family. Thanks, Brother Steve, for informing and inspiring us. I'm more than happy to be here for another educational day. We are very happy having you here as well with us today. And Brother Dave says, good day all. Let's go. And Queen Vangechi says, hi family, good to be here. It's a pleasure having you here with us too. So with that said, welcome again, everyone that was able to make it today. Bear with me as I'm sharing my screen so we can really kickstart today's session. Okay. As always, let's start with refreshing CoinMarketCap. As we see, Bitcoin has been struggling. It's been roughly around 58 or below 58,000, and Ethereum is holding on to 3,100. So the market, as you see, we are down over 4% for the last 24 hours. We see that fear and greed index is right at neutral, 45. There's still a lot of uncertainties going on and so on and so forth. We have a big red day today, but we'll touch base on what this is and what it might be. There's so much speculation going on in the industry, and let's touch on some points. And what happens usually, what I really need to highlight is there are so many liquidations going on. So a lot of people are betting that prices will go up, and they put a lot of money, they leverage, meaning that they borrow a lot of money and bet that the markets are going to go up or down. But in this case, those who have bet that the Bitcoin price or any other assets, Ethereum and all other assets, were going to go up. Apparently, if the price drops like this, there's a bunch of liquidations going on. Let's look at some of those. So these liquidations, as far as the amount doubled, and it hit a 2-month low. So like we say, liquidations are those who either bet that the prices are going up or down, and in this case, those that bet that the prices were going up, and because the price dropped, those who bet that the price would go up are being liquidated, meaning they're losing their bets, and this of course causes large sell-offs, right? And this causes even more, like it's a domino effect. And to look at really numbers, we can see here that the total crypto liquidations just in the past 24 hours is roughly 265 million. So that's a lot. That's a lot of sell pressure. So like we said, these are long positions, have been liquidated. Long positions meaning that these were individuals that were betting that the markets were going to go up, and then of course, because the markets dropped significantly, they were liquidated, so they lost their bets, and this causes a domino effect, and this is why you see a lot of sliding going down the drain, a lot of liquidations happening, and the price just keeps dropping. And that's across the board, led by Bitcoin, of course, and then all other cryptocurrencies as well. Like we saw, they're all in the red, like we can see here. The last 24 hours, they're all in the red. So the market is really bleeding right now. So with that said, let's stick to today's topic, right? Today's topic is holding on to the original vision of cryptocurrencies, right? And to really appreciate, we won't get into too much detail, but just to have a glimpse, of the circumstances and why Bitcoin was created, and just touch on the pros and cons a bit of the situation, before we use that as our platform to move forward, to make a point that we're trying to make. Like we said, holding on to the original vision of the cryptocurrencies is very important, because it really enables us to focus on us, on the retailers, right? Because let's keep in mind, the cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology was developed for us in the first place, because it was at a time, and we'll look at it in more details, when we really lost trust in governments and institutions, and in just everything, like the system, the monetary system, everything. So it came at a perfect time. So let's quickly just highlight and touch base, because those who have been in the crypto space, of course, we already know all of this. But for those that are new in the space and really, still don't have a solid understanding about this, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. So we'll just briefly touch on this to really have a better understanding before we really get into the details. So anyway, as introduction, of course, Bitcoin is the most recognized cryptocurrency, as we know. It is the largest by market cap, of course. And why does Bitcoin exist? That's the question we should ask ourselves, and always remind ourselves. So Bitcoin's beginnings are very mysterious, right? As revolutionary as well, of course. So coming into light in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, as we know, right? Right after the 2008, or during the 2008 financial crisis, that's when Bitcoin really came out of the ashes, right? So Bitcoin's initial aim was to provide a secure and independent means to hold value and transact with anyone around the world. Now, this is the part here: without the assistance of banks, payment processors, or currency exchanges, right? So this is very important to understand. Its initial aim was to provide a secure, independent means to hold value and transact with anyone around the world without any assistance of banks, payment processors, or currency exchanges, right? Okay, so why was Bitcoin created? So despite introducing something genuinely groundbreaking to the world, Bitcoin's creator or creators decided to go by a made-up name, Satoshi Nakamoto, right? So a computer programmer or a group of people posted regularly in a cryptography forums. That's how it all started. And they're all forming a group. Before you knew it, it was a community. And they just showed frustrations on how online transactions worked, and they showed concern about pressing issues in the global economy. They didn't like how we were so dependent on institutions, on governments, on our current monetary system, which was obviously not working in our best interest, right? So Nakamoto felt that an alternative could help people preserve control over their money in the digital age, right? So another purpose was preserve control over your own money in the digital age. That's the purpose. That's the whole idea. You should have control over your assets, right? And this is important. So considering the simplicity of person-to-person cash transactions, Nakamoto sought something similar for the internet, right? So here we always talk about peer-to-peer, trustless, right? Peer-to-peer simply means from me to you directly, right? And trustless is self-explanatory. We don't need any trust to any government, any financial system, any monetary system, nobody, right? So that's very important to really understand. So Nakamoto's idea was a trustless cash system, right? So like we say, it was supposed to be like a store of value that works just like money, right? But doesn't require anyone to place their trust in a third party to hold their money or manage transactions for them, right? So to help explain it, think of Nakamoto's admiration of a simple cash transaction, right? There's an example here that is really simple, and this is what the vision was, right? The vision was that a shopper could just go to a store, grab whatever they needed to buy, right? Take it to the register, to the clerk, and just which would ring up those items. And then eventually the shopper would just take out their wallet, pay for it, and then go about their business, right? With such a transaction, the shopper leaves the store with the items, right? In such a transaction, this is what a person-to-person cash transaction means, right? Nobody except these two, the buyer and the seller, were involved, right? No bank was needed to process the transaction. So it's simple and easy, right? So this, compare that to paying with a credit card, right? There are several additional parties involved in the process. Multiple security checks occur on both sides to ensure transactions requests are legitimate. Because of this overhead, additional fees exist. So the credit card transactions tend to be more expensive and inefficient, right, than the more straightforward cash for product exchange, right? So this is a simple transaction called peer-to-peer. But now Nakamoto wanted the system to help people transact directly online without the need for bank, like with a person-to-person cash transaction. However, the idea went a step further than the cash transaction. So, namely, not using cash at all, right? So the proposed system wouldn't exchange value using dollars, euros, or other central bank-controlled currencies. Instead, it would use novel currencies with a fixed supply and no central organization to manage it whatsoever, right? So why did Nakamoto want to introduce a unique currency for Bitcoin system? According to the Bitcoin white paper, it all comes back to the idea of trust. So long story longer, the whole idea was eliminating trust, right? By eliminating banks, institutions, any sorts of third parties, just from me to you transaction, no checks, no regulations, nothing. It's just simple transactions between us, right? From me to you. And this was the whole idea. And all of that put in trust. So no need of trust because that was gone, right? During the financial crisis in 2008, trust was just gone. So Nakamoto believed that the only trust required for those transactions was between the buyer and the seller. That's it. So they set out to prove this could happen online without the need of a financial institution, right? A limited currency with no central manager would also let the market dictate its value without the possibility of intervention. This is another very important thing. So he focused on a limited currency. So meaning that he was eager to ensure that there is no inflation, right? And there was no central manager that would dictate the price of this, right? We let the market dictate the value, meaning you and me, we let the retailers, the community dictate the value of it, right? So these are important things that we should really understand, and I'm not going to go any deeper than this. So literally, like this says, Bitcoin increased trust by removing trust. And this is not just Bitcoin, this is the whole blockchain technology, right? This is why it's so important that we can transact with a smart contract. We don't have to transact with humans. We don't have to interact with humans. And this is why it's so important to learn how to open your own wallet, have access to your own wallet, have control over it. Store your seed phrases carefully. Don't share it with nobody. And, this is your account. This was the whole purpose of the blockchain technology, right? Trustless. You are in control. I'd like to look at one more thing. No interference, no regulation, and no surveillance, right? So January 3rd, 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto launched Bitcoin, right? A digital cryptocurrency built on the blockchain technology. It was a completely new form of virtual money, untethered, right, to any government or financial institution, right? Back then, it was still really at its core. It was still really was what it was supposed to be, very original, right? Not tethered to any government or financial institution. Bitcoin was a breakthrough because it operates entirely peer-to-peer. No need for banks, governments, and intermediaries like PayPal or Visa to make monetary transaction, right? There is no interference, no regulation, and no surveillance. Bitcoin is money that transfers directly, quite literally, from one wallet to another, right? So this is very simple. It's just from my wallet to your wallet, we transact, right? Nobody needed in between. So many Bitcoin enthusiasts, or we can replace Bitcoin with crypto enthusiasts, right? Suggest it could be the most profound financial disruptor of all time by dismantling our dependency on financial institutions. So many of those early Bitcoin enthusiasts, those early Bitcoin fanatics, they were believing so heavily on this simply because we were able to transfer directly, quite literally, from one wallet to the other. We didn't need no banks, no PayPal, no Visa card, nobody, right? And the early birds, the early crypto Bitcoin enthusiasts suggested that this could be a profound disruptor. This was a revolutionary thing. So Bitcoin was the ideal platform for retailers to interact with, right? Peer-to-peer, no regulation, no interruption, no interception of any kind, right? We could really focus fully on just peer-to-peer. So, but just over 2 years after releasing Bitcoin to the world, of course, we know that he, she, they disappeared, right? Apparently. So what I want to take away here and build on top of it is many Bitcoin enthusiasts suggested it could be the most profound financial disruptor of all time, right? By dismantling our dependency on financial institutions. So I think we get the idea here of what the vision was of Satoshi Nakamoto. It was literally to be a self-sufficient monetary system that doesn't require any centralized entities, any third parties, any banks, any dependencies on any third parties of any financial institutions of all sorts. I believe we understand that right now, right? Fast forward, this was the ideal, this was the vision, this was the best case scenario, to use Bitcoin as that platform, right? That has zero regulation, zero interruptions, nothing whatsoever. Pure, just driven by you and me retailers. The reality sunk in really quickly. As we speak, as of July 3rd, as of yesterday, institutions own over 12.5% of the Bitcoin supply. And this in a very short period. Actually, if we look at ETFs alone, they own over 5% within what? 6 months right now, right? Almost 6 months, less than 6 months. They already own 5% of the total supply. And this keeps increasing. So if we look at what we just, keep in mind what we just read, right? Look at who now majority holders or the large holders of Bitcoin. So ETFs, these are asset managers, countries, so governments, public and private companies. Altogether, these alone own more than 12%, right? Exactly those that Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to keep away, right? No dependency on financial institutions. But guess what? They're the ones now literally running the show. They literally took over Bitcoin, right? Single-handedly. And they did that in a very simple way, right? Just by liquidity, through ETFs. ETFs is a black hole for liquidity, right? This is a platform. This is how you really accumulate much liquidity, because literally what you do is, you as an asset manager, you can't buy the assets directly. So we discussed this before. So you use an AP, an authorized participant. These are large institutions such as JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, UBS, and so on and so forth. So in this case, JP Morgan, they're the ones purchasing the physical asset, which is Bitcoin. And then they issue shares, which they give to these asset managers, in this case BlackRock, right, for example. And then BlackRock takes these shares and then sells these shares that represent the underlying asset, which is Bitcoin, to investors, right? These investors are very well-to-do investors. These are big whales, well-to-do, very wealthy investors that don't have the time or are not willing to spend time doing the research, writing down your seed phrases, managing, being your own custodian. They don't, obviously they're not the typical retailers that need to be independent, right? These are individuals that are accustomed to the traditional financial system. These are individuals that love to operate under the traditional financial system because it works for them, right? So this is what the difference of ETFs are versus using the real asset. Now, we always want to go a step further and really understand what we just discussed, right? Let's verify what we just said, right? These are just articles, right? These are articles claiming that this was the vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, really summarizing the vision, the points, the purpose, and so on and so forth. Now, I'd like us to look at one of these early enthusiasts. You see these early enthusiasts, Bitcoin enthusiasts, right? Many Bitcoin enthusiasts suggest that this could be the most profound financial disruptor, right, of all time, and keeping away dependency on financial institutions. So let's look at one of these Bitcoin enthusiasts, one of them, right? One of them is known as Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a very well-to-do individual. He's better known as one of the PayPal founders. Needless to say, he's one of the richest, one of the wealthiest individuals in the world. He's a multi-billionaire. And he was one of these early Bitcoin enthusiasts that believed heavily in Bitcoin and really believed that Bitcoin is the vehicle to independence from the financial institution. Now let's listen to, this is just a few days ago, he had an interview. So let's just pick his mind, what he thinks now at this current stages. What is he thinking? So first of all, one of the statements that he put out there was that and keep in mind, this is a very influential individual. So this is an individual that is well connected with the governments, with the agencies, government agencies. This is an individual that is well connected with this cabal, like secret societies and all these different well connected individuals. So whatever he says, we need to pay attention. So let's listen to what he was saying. So Bitcoin price won't dramatically increase from here. This is what Peter Thiel said. Bitcoin price won't dramatically increase from here. Why did he say that? Let's not get this out of context. Let's really understand why he said that. So Peter Thiel, he also believes that Bitcoin's original vision as a cypherpunk, crypto anarchist freedom tool hasn't been fulfilled. So this is obviously one of those crypto or Bitcoin enthusiasts that was, diehard. He was really believed in independence, no third parties, no institutions. Bitcoin is the tool, the vehicle that will really get the job done, right? So, but now he has a change of tone. He says that Bitcoin's original vision as a freedom tool hasn't been fulfilled. Okay, let's read more. So anyway, like we said, he's a former PayPal CEO, right? He has expressed doubts about the potential for Bitcoin's price to increase significantly from its current levels, right? So he has doubts that I don't see Bitcoin going up anytime soon. Now, let me remind us, we had this topic last time. Remember how we discussed how because of BlackRock's AP, which is JP Morgan, and how JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs were manipulating gold and silver back in the days. And now Bitcoin being known as the digital form of gold, how they're going to literally manipulate the prices, etc., because it's in direct competition with the US dollar. If Bitcoin does well, the dollar doesn't do as well, right? So it's always inverse, right? So they can't progress, both of them. If one wins, the other one loses, right? So we had that topic already in our community event, so I won't get into details. So anyway, so the billionaire who still owns some Bitcoin, he says, but not as much as he would have, he said, isn't sure when the next batch of buyers will come from now that Bitcoin has had its ETF edition. So why would he say something like this? What does he mean when he says he isn't sure where the next batch of buyers will come from now that Bitcoin has an ETF edition, right? So I'm not sure it's going to go up that dramatically from here. We got the ETF edition, and I don't know who else buys it. Thiel, a founder of the Founders Fund, told CNBC, right, a few days ago. So what does he mean with he's not sure who's going to buy it? Where will who else is going to buy it now that it's ETF? Keep in mind, the whole idea was that, and this was the whole purpose, Bitcoin was always sold to us as the pure, the pristine currency that is independent, right, of any financial institutions. This was the whole idea, the purpose. This was the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. So unique. Only Bitcoin had this, right? And obviously, this is not the case anymore. Like we said many times in our community events, Bitcoin has been compromised, right? And now hearing it from one of those old school Bitcoin enthusiasts that strongly believed in it, and there's an individual that heavily benefited from Bitcoin in the early days, and also became a Bitcoin billionaire by selling off his Bitcoin, actually. So it's always interesting to hear from these individuals. So it probably still can go up some, but it's not going to be. It's going to be volatile and a bumpy ride, right? Unfortunately, I can't play the sound, but I can share the link with you. I encourage you to listen to it. It's very informative, right? So I encourage you to listen to it. So as we go back here, as we go back here, I want us to read one more thing here. Yeah, as we see here, his fund, right, has a rather impressive history with Bitcoin. So he made his first Bitcoin investment back in 2014, and he sold all of it and made 1.8 billion shortly, right before the market collapsed. So how did he know? He sold right before the market collapsed. He made his 1.8 billion, and he cashed in and sold everything, cashed out, made 1.8 billion, right? And he didn't buy back until last year, right? And he bought back 100 million in Bitcoin and 100 million in Ethereum. So even at 60,000 today, roughly, he's already up 100 million. He already doubled up. This is why we always say, unless you have 10 million and above, there is no point of really putting your money in Bitcoin, because you won't really benefit much, you know. So anyway, this is the idea, is that he sold it all right before the collapse. So obviously this individual is well connected. He knows exactly when to buy, he knows exactly when to sell, and he's well informed on what's happening, right? So let's continue. Thiel revealed that Bitcoin hasn't turned out as cypherpunk as he originally envisioned. So he's basically saying that his initial vision, or the whole purpose of Bitcoin, is not fulfilled. You know, Bitcoin really didn't become what it was supposed to be, right? Where I'm less convinced is this question of the ideology, founding vision of Bitcoin as a cypherpunk, crypto anarchist, libertarian, anti-centralized government thing, you know? So it was supposed to be an anti-centralized government thing, right? But that's what I thought was terrific about it, right? This is what Thiel recalled, you know, when first coming across Bitcoin, right? But he now believes Bitcoin doesn't really work that way. So he believes that Bitcoin is no longer doing what it's supposed to be, or it lost its vision, lost its purpose, right? So when people in the FBI tell me that they'll much rather have criminals use Bitcoin than $100 bills, it suggests that maybe it's not quite working the way it was supposed to, right? So this really shows you that with all these ETFs, with all these institutions now getting involved, it really is really in the hands of institutions now. And let's look at it even closer. And this is something that is really, really eye-catching. So this is why we haven't mooned yet, right? This is what the tweet says. So we always hear about, oh, Saylor bought hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. Michael Dell is just, you know, the founder of Dell Computer is bought 100 million worth of Bitcoin, right? And all these ETFs have accumulated 15 billion in, you know, and all of that, right? But this individual says it's all noise. It's all noise, right? And but why is it all noise? So when you look at the data of the four most important players in Bitcoin, we have a net flow equivalent to 24 billion being dumped on the market in 2024 alone. So all this noise that we hear about Michael Saylor, Michael Dell, and all these ETFs, these are just distractions. It's just noise, right? Because if you look at data and you really look at what's happening in the real world, you see that 24 billion worth of Bitcoin has been dumped in the market in 2024. And this came from long-term holders. This came from individuals like this guy right here, right? This guy, which is he's a billionaire, right? These are the guys that these were the individuals that were Bitcoin enthusiasts, right? These are the individuals that really believed in the purpose, in the vision of Bitcoin, right? And we also read it here. They're the ones who really, and this why he's asking, He was asking, I'm not sure it's going to go up dramatically from here. He's not sure. Why did he say that? Because, and I don't know who else is buying it. So why would an individual that is so well connected, is one of the early enthusiasts of Bitcoin, a PayPal founder and CEO that is well connected, make a statement like this? Like, who else? I don't know who else is going to buy it. So this is not just one person's thoughts. He was speaking for every other Bitcoin enthusiast. And this is why you see this chart right here. The early investors in Bitcoin, these are the long-term holders that usually accumulate, buy even more, that usually push up Bitcoin's price during bull cycles. They're the ones that have been selling hundreds of Bitcoins. Like, they've been selling tens of thousands of Bitcoins, right? Worth 24 billion in 2024 within 6 months. And this is why Bitcoin hasn't been mooning yet, right? Because all the believers of Bitcoin, the hardcore enthusiasts of Bitcoin, they lost trust, they lost belief, they lost hope, and they've been selling off, right? This is the reality of things. So when Peter Thiel was speaking, he wasn't speaking for himself. He was speaking for those who originally envisioned what Bitcoin was supposed to be, what would be. Minded individuals like Peter Thiel, who are big whales, billionaires, and are heavily invested or used to be heavily invested in Bitcoin, they now tell you, well, I only hold a little bit, I still own some, just some, right? And this chart clearly shows that the biggest whales, the early birds, the long-term holders, are now selling heavily. They're dumping. They're the ones that have been dumping. Not just them. On top of that, like we already discussed, before Mt. Gox even started distributing, out of fear, we already see that Germany has been already, the government has been heavily, people are tracking wallets, and they've been seeing movements of the German government, and also on the Mt. Gox wallet as well. So a wallet belonging to a German official entity moved its largest stash of Bitcoin to exchanges earlier today. So this is just today, July 4th. So this is what also spooked the markets, right? And even Mt. Gox also showed activity for the first time in a month. So all these dormant wallets, that large wallets, Bitcoin wallets, that not moved at all, they were dormant for a month. Now they're starting to show activities, doing test transactions, hinting at potential asset distributions and increased selling pressure, right? And keep in mind, Mt. Gox has 9 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? And the German government still has over 2 billion of Bitcoin. And those who got into Bitcoin early, or those who really were strong believers in Bitcoin, also starting to sell off Bitcoin as well, right? Because its real vision, its real purpose seemed to have missed its mark, right? And with BlackRock and ETFs now in place, it's just being hijacked now. It's no longer serving the purpose of the original vision, what it was supposed to serve, right? So among the top reasons for the price drop was the German government moving more than 50 million to crypto exchanges, right? This created a sell speculation in the market, right? So these are the things that really we see here that are causing a lot of fear, and people are just trying to sell before all these large amounts are being sold. Now, keep in mind, the German government, they're not selling over the counter. They're literally dumping on the markets, right? And this is what you really see why the prices are really, really affected, right? If Michael Saylor and all of them would be doing the same, buying directly from the market, we'll see a positive impact. However, it's not. Only the selling takes place in the market, And this is the sad thing, right? Because who is buying all this Bitcoin? It's retailers, even the ETFs. 80% of ETF purchases are retailers, right? And who's buying, trading on the centralized exchanges? Retailers, you and me. And they are being dumped on heavily right now by governments, by institutions, by long-term whales of Bitcoin, right? And these are Bitcoin, and like we see here, like we see here, these individuals, they need exit liquidity, right? Like there are 6 Bitcoin billionaires right now. Like we saw, we say this many times, and there are over how many? There are just 182 so-called centimillionaires, right? And these individuals, they need exit liquidity, right? And it's just sad to see how when Larry Fink comes up, when Kathy Woods comes up, when all these large CEOs and asset managers come and talk about how Bitcoin is going to $1 million, it's going to hit 10 million by 2025, and all of that, it creates so much FOMO, right? It creates a lot of greed. You see retailers are jumping, spending all the money buying Bitcoin, and they bought it in the 70s, right? 70,000, 65,000. And now these same individuals that were talking about how great Bitcoin is are the ones now, based on the chart, on data, they're the ones now dumping on it. These are the long-term holders. They started dumping on it early year, right? So this is something that we really need to understand, that there really being games played here. And it's good that at least an individual is coming up front and saying that I don't see Bitcoin price going up anytime soon. Who is going to buy it anyway now that there is an ETF edition, right? So this just shows you that where this is heading. So enough of that, right? So now that we've talked about that, the German entity is dumping, they're selling on the open market. Mt. Gox has not even started to distribute yet, and they have 9 billion worth of Bitcoin to distribute. So there's a lot of sell pressure still coming, right? The Germans still have 2 billion, right? We saw how the early Bitcoin lovers and enthusiasts also lost hope. They're selling majority of it as well. So this just shows us that we need to understand that we need to stick to the vision, right? What was the purpose? What was the idea of cryptocurrencies? It was to benefit you and me, the retailers. It was supposed to be free of financial institutions in between, right? And this is why from the very beginning we always stressed on we didn't want to be listed on like centralized exchanges due to that, because we know how it can be manipulated. We also didn't want to expose ourselves to the risk, file bankruptcy, and then all these assets being lost, just like Mt. Gox. This happened 11 years ago, right? The Mt. Gox thing. A lot of investors stored their Bitcoin with Mt. Gox, and when they filed bankruptcy and when they got hacked, right? They lost over 850,000 Bitcoins, and now they're only giving back 150. So just a fraction. So these are the things we didn't want to expose our community to. And also we wanted to ensure that we remain decentralized, because that's the whole idea, that's the vision, that's the purpose. And many individuals want it to remain like that. They are more attracted to ecosystems, communities that still hold up to that vision, right, of decentralization, where you hold the keys to your own wallet, where there are no centralized institutions in there. There are no venture capitalists who like heavily invested in this project, but it's really led by community. This is very important. So with that said, I really want us to sum up this. Let's understand what the whole vision was, right? The vision was to have a platform that is geared towards you and me and puts you at the heart, at the core, and one that is sustainable, one that focuses heavily on being decentralized. This is why we have Zooms open every single day to just assist with learning how to open a wallet, how to store your seed phrases, keep them secure, don't share them with no one, how to get your ETH, transfer it to your DeFi wallet, how to trade from your DeFi wallet, and how to be your own bank. This is why we lay emphasis on doing these weekly community events 4 times a week. Sundays are the Queens, they meet every Sunday. And then we have VCs on Saturday on Telegram. We have on Thursday, like today, we have YouTube. And then on Mondays, we have Twitter Spaces. This is by design because education is key, education is power. So the more informed and educated our community is on basic things, from the basics all the way to just understanding how industry works, how our monetary system works, how inflation affects us, and how the interest rates affect liquidities, and how liquidity are important to either for a bull market or a bear market, and how all of this affects our ecosystem, and what are the challenges in the industry. All of these things are very important to understand. And this is why we say cryptocurrencies is more than just hype tokens, right? It's deeper than that. So what's next now? Next now is the spot Ethereum ETFs, right? And this is supposed to drive demand for Ethereum, right? And based on what we just read right now, and what we had discussed prior, Bitcoin was supposed to be a store of value, a medium of exchange, right? The digital form of gold, a direct competition with money, with the fiat, with US dollar or euros or any other central bank led currency, fiat currency, right? However, Ethereum is none of that. Ethereum doesn't claim to be a medium of exchange, store of value, digital gold, and it's not in direct competition with fiat. So it's not a threat, right, to the establishment, so to speak. As a matter of fact, it's a better alternative investment vehicle than Bitcoin is, because now you have a vehicle that, of course, currently, like we discussed, currently it's not, right? Currently, even Ethereum is not, right? It's not ultrasound money right now. It is inflationary. Let's just call it how it is, right? Right now, even Ethereum is inflationary. However, there's not much liquidity coming into the markets yet. We are not in a full-blown bull market yet. So once there's more liquidity entering the space and there's more transactions, it will turn back to being deflationary, right? So this is very important to understand. And what the whole point I'm trying to make here is that because Ethereum is not in direct competition with fiat, it's not a threat to the establishment, right? Rather, it's actually a tool, a vehicle that is more attractive because at its best, it is deflationary, right? And you can't stake the ETFs either. So to really benefit the most from it, you would have to buy the physical asset. You have to buy Ethereum directly, right? So that you can really benefit from the staking part of it. Now, this opens a whole different topic again, because right now the arguments with staking is that if it's a single staking, meaning that the retailer, you directly stake on your own using a smart contract, that's not a security. That's perfectly fine, right? But where it gets tricky, and the regulators are still trying to find out how to regulate this, is giving your ETH, for example, to a validator, to an individual. And you're giving your ETH to them. You don't know the individual, right? There's no KYC, nothing. And you just blindly giving your keys as well. You have to give your keys, your seed phrases to an individual who's then taking your ETH and staking it for you and literally earning the yields for you and then shares them back with you, This is where it's still tricky, and this is where the regulation is still being looked at, right? However, in a case where you as a retailer, you're directly interacting with the staking platform directly, there's no validator, no individual in between, it's perfectly fine. That's not a security, it's not a debate, right? And this is where, because I'm saying this because we have a staking platform as well, and our staking platform is based on a smart contract. You're not giving us your tokens and we are staking it on your behalf. You're using your DeFi wallet, right? Just like we said here, this is how it was supposed to be, right? It was supposed to be that you're independent of the financial institutions. You are your own financial institution, right? So you are the one that literally is in charge of your own assets. You can stake and then unstake whenever you feel like it. This is how true decentralization is. This is how it was supposed to be, right? Trustless. You don't have to trust anyone. And you constantly have your wallet under your control. Your assets are under your control. And whenever you feel like unstaking, you can unstake instantly and the tokens are yours. This is how it was supposed to be. And this is how our staking platform works. So why am I talking about ETH? ETH is not in competition with the US dollar. So it's not threatening the fiat system, right? And this is why you see institutions embracing Ethereum much more, right? This is why you see BlackRock's liquidity fund is on Ethereum. This is why you see JP Morgan's Onyx private blockchain that they put together with Barclays Bank using BlackRock's assets as collateral. They're also on Ethereum, right? You see all the major stable coins are in Ethereum also, and so on and so forth. So Ethereum is being used heavily right now by institutions due to its more attractiveness as an investment vehicle, right? So we need to pay attention to this, because what's about to happen and the way the trends are moving is, like we discussed, as we're seeing a lot of funds going out of Bitcoin, they have to go somewhere, right? They have to go somewhere. And this is why speculation is that it's in preparation to go into Ethereum, right? It's in preparation to go into Ethereum, and Ethereum has the potential now to really take lead and be able, or be put in a position where it's potentially will be able to flip Bitcoin. And that will be a much more attractive cryptocurrency to be the number one cryptocurrency, because it will be a great selling point to these large institutions, money managers, pension funds, and all of them, to really, it's a great selling point, because now Ethereum is literally the technology itself, right? Ethereum is where applications are being built on top of, right? It's like if you were able to invest into the internet itself, and everything that is being built on top of the internet or using the internet technology, you are being part of that ecosystem and you benefit from all of that. This is the case with Ethereum, right? All these new technologies, all these new applications that are all these real world assets, tokenizations, it's going to take place on Ethereum, right? They already have the platforms on Ethereum. The liquidity fund of BlackRock is already on Ethereum, and it's already funded and paired with USDC. Same with JP Morgan. They already put their collateralized network. They built the private network using Ethereum, and it's already put in place. It's ready, right? So there's a reason why they want to eventually, especially JP Morgan, purchase the assets, stake it themselves, and yield, and it's a very attractive instrument. Who doesn't want a deflationary asset that you can stake and earn more of the deflationary asset that is going up in value the more adaptation it gets? So this is why we see all this happening, and these funds will have to go somewhere, right? There's a reason why they're getting out of it, to get it somewhere, to get it out somewhere, right? And since the vision is not being lived through Bitcoin anymore, and we're here to make money, this is now Peter, this, for example, him thinking out loud, right? Peter Thiel, or everybody else that is thinking, they're like, we might as well then get into Ethereum then. Why don't we get Ethereum then? That's what we're seeing right now. And also, these are exactly at a first glance, this is very good, right? You see, like, wow, crypto-backed MasterCards. This is amazing. This is something great, right? And this is something that you would need as a crypto enthusiast, right? You want to use your crypto and in the real world, right? But if you really think about it, this is how you go from having your crypto and now using it in the real world, right? And this is exactly what apparently the independence was here for, being independent from financial institutions. However, if you look at it right now, there are some points that will make you really, consider, because you have to be, this is now individual, right? So credit, they unveiled a new debit card, right? And it's backed by the value of your wallet, right? Whatever you have in your wallet, the value is backed by the blockchain, right? And I just want to touch base on a few things that are really interesting here, right? And the reason why crypto is still a niche is because the way, how do you get your crypto from your DeFi wallet? How do you get it to use that in the real world, right? You have Ethereum, you have stable coins, you have Bull Run, you have, Survivor and Killer Whale and, cryptocurrencies. But now how do you use that in the real world, So you see how MasterCard is now coming with ideas on how to off-ramp, so you can off-ramp all of this. You can off-ramp your crypto and use it in the real world. Let's look at some items that might really be interesting, right? So first of all, it's a blockchain-based payment processor, Credit. It recently announced the launch of its first of a kind unlimited crypto card, right? So it's an application, of course. And again, like we said, a lot of applications, smart contracts are being built on Ethereum or on layer 2 of Ethereum, right? So why did they put in the unlimited part of it? Because this solves a problem that many of crypto enthusiasts really have, right? And one of that problem is always the limited. You're always limited with the current cards that we have. If you have a Coinbase card, if you have a Binance card, if you have a Crypto.com card, right? But now they say that this could revolutionize the crypto payment industry by providing digital currency holders a free, secure, convenient payment experience. So it's free in terms of there are no fees, nothing whatsoever, right? And it's unlimited. Now let's look at what the unlimited means. A reason why this is great, because most cards have minimum and maximum spending limits, right? So card users can buy anything from a cup of coffee to a Lamborghini, right? So you can literally buy whatever you need to buy with this card. There's no limit to it. So this is literally groundbreaking. This is literally revolutionary, So there are no limits. You can use it as much as you want. You can withdraw as much as you want. You can put on it as much as you want. And what does this mean? We'll look at it at the end, right? So, and because it can be spent at any that accepts debit MasterCard, you can use it to pay for online subscriptions, late night corner store milk runs, and so on and so forth, right? So, but guess what? You have to simply activate, to activate your card, you just have to pass KYC, right? Know your client verification, right? You need to do that. So you have to show identity, show your government card and all that, and then you can use it, right? Then when you spend via your card's digital wallet app, the merchant still will accept the transfer value of its own preferred currency, right? So What do we look at here? Another thing I want us to see here is that you don't have to pay directly with the card app either. You know, you can connect with the payment platforms, existing payment platforms such as Venmo, Google Pay, or PayPal, right? And guess what? They have a fee. They're charging you a transaction fee of 1.5% for each transaction, right? Does this sound familiar? Yes, it's less than your the regular Visa, MasterCards, which are usually 2% or maybe 3%. However, nonetheless, they still charge you that, right? So we see that established institutions are literally coming with ways to still allure, bring crypto enthusiasts to use established platforms, such as Google Pay, PayPal. These institutions are well known for working hand in hand with the government, and they're well known for using clients' data and information, right? So it's a two-edged sword that if you see large institutions coming up with, such as MasterCard, coming up with solutions, obviously their solutions are based on the existing traditional financial institution or financial monetary system, right? And they want to monetize from the crypto enthusiasts who really want to use their assets that they accumulated in the real world. And there are decentralized ways to do that, by the way, So this is not the only way out. It's a very attractive way because it's unlimited. So it's definitely very attractive. And for those who don't mind, I want to go through KYC and all that, it's definitely a great option, right? No fees, no unlimited or no max use. That sounds attractive. However, back to Satoshi's vision was, the whole idea was to actually be independent from the financial institutions, right? Now, what does all this tell us? Oh, where are we standing now, right? What's the vision? Now that we understand the vision and all that, we need to now zoom back in. We have to zoom in. Now we painted a picture of the vision, the purpose of a monetary system where it was looked at as a store of value. It was looked at as a medium of exchange, as a digital money, digital gold that is supposed to, empower you and me, the retailers. But as we saw, it didn't take long, and that vision was cut short simply because of liquidity, right? ETFs came in, sucked all the liquidity through ETFs, drained it, or removed it from from retailers. And what they're doing now is they're actually dumping on the open market, right? And turning retailers into exit liquidity. And this is the saddest part of it, right? If it comes to buying, they're buying ETFs. They're buying over the counter. But if it comes to selling, they are dumping on the open market, right? They're dumping on the retailers. So, and this is exactly what is wrong with BTC. And this is what Peter Thiel meant when he was saying he doesn't see how, I'm not sure it's going to go up that dramatically. Why would he say that? Is because he understands that the traditional financial system is not going to allow Bitcoin to go up. They're not going to let it go up. They're going to manipulate it. Because if it goes up, that means fiat is bad. The US dollar is weak. So in order to maintain the US dollar and to keep the US dollar to remain strong, they have to manipulate it. And this is in a nutshell what he was saying. This is exactly what he was saying. Now we got the ETF edition, and I don't know who else is going to buy it. So basically saying everybody on their right mind is not going to buy an asset that is run by institutions, specifically JP Morgan, right? That is known for manipulating assets, right? Commodities, specifically gold and silver. And Ethereum, Bitcoin being digital gold and being in direct competition with the US dollar, this is exactly what Peter Thiel was saying. Like, I'm not sure how this is going to go up dramatically, and I don't see anybody who would buy it, right? At least not him or anybody else that thinks like him or believed in the vision of Satoshi, right? So what does that mean? This is the reason why you see so many community tokens just skyrocketing, right? Because yes, they have no utilities, they're nothing whatsoever. However, it is driven by the community, right? And this is where we really have to find and build a bridge in between. Now that we understand that community tokens, and we've been saying this, that 2024, when we first had our very first Twitter space, we say 2024 will be a year of community tokens, right? However, these community tokens will have to be revolutionized. They have to change, right? They have to be focusing more on solving the challenges in the industry. They have to be more sustainable. They have to be more community focused, right? And this is what's lacking in the industry, right? And this is now, if we zoom in and we get involved, we look at the fundamentals, the tokenomics, this is exactly what our ecosystem is all about, right? It's all about sustainability, all about addressing the 4 challenges in the industry. It's all about addressing the 4 criterias of the token, of the tokens that need to be are required to be met, right? And this is the difference. This is the difference. Bottom line is, community tokens will always be attractive to retailers, to you and me, simply because, first of all, the community, the low market cap, the allure, the drive of being able to be part of an ecosystem or community that doesn't have any institutional intervention there. It's literally driven by the community. Now, imagine, like we often said, you have a large community, right, of multitude of people, 10,000s, hundreds of thousands, a million, right? Just like the largest cryptocurrency community token, for example, right? It has 1.4 million holders. So imagine having such a platform with so many holders, and then you also have a steady volume, and then you have a sustainable mechanisms, sustainable tokenomics like the one we have. This is what's missing in the industry right now, right? A true decentralized community token that is sustainable, that is addressing the 4 challenges in the industry, that meets the 4 criteria on a token level, that is putting the community, the retailers at its heart, right? And that remains decentralized at its core, and that empowers, educates, informs and educates the community on how to be their own bank, how to open their own DeFi wallet, how to safeguard their seed phrases, how to trade on using Uniswap, for example, and this is very important. And this is the gap that is missing, right? We are looking at 2 extremes right now. We're looking at just meme coins that are not sustainable, right? And then we're looking at institutions that are coming in with all these ETFs and accumulating all the liquidity, right? So these are the 2 extremes. Why can't we have a bridge and have a common ground where we can have a community, a platform that is literally accumulating the liquidity, is a liquidity hub? Because without liquidity, there are no volume, there's no trades going on. Why are ETFs being traded in the billions of dollars daily? Is because they have accumulated so much liquidity, right? Look at the value of ETFs right now. It's over 61 billion right now. So that's a lot of liquidity compared to the current liquidity of Bitcoin in the centralized exchange. It's just 1. So this just shows you that, imagine the proper way to do this. You need a community token that is heavily focusing on liquidity. One that has multiple ways to accumulate liquidity, not just through taxes, but also through the 10% stake. We put 10% aside to stake and buyback, right? Because we receive USDC distributions if you stake. Now we can use this 10%, put it in a smart contract, and then as we're receiving this USDC distributions, all we do is we stake it and do buybacks and stake, and we repeat it. So this will help the community with volume, right? And then we'll have the NFT boosters. So anybody who wants to go beyond the 70%, right, distributions, they will have to buy maximum of 5 of these boosters to unlock 100% of the USDC distributions. And the revenues generated from the sale of these NFTs that boost your USDC distributions go towards liquidity also. So now we have a community that is well informed, well educated, and understands that our ecosystem is liquidity driven, right? That means that you can use your USDC distributions to compound, just like this 10% is doing, right? And if you compound, what happens? You use the compounding effect for your own good, for your own bag, right? And as you're doing that, you're also generating volume. And through that volume, you're adding liquidity, you're buying tokens, and you're adding USDC distributions, right? So imagine tens of thousands of people doing that, hundreds of thousands of people doing that, 1 million people doing that. Now, before you know it, you have an ecosystem, you have a community that is self-sufficient, that keeps accumulating liquidity, keeps buying tokens, keeps accumulating USDC distributions. Now you have that positive feedback loop that benefits everyone, right? Benefits the traders, because the more they trade, the deeper the liquidity, and benefits the stakers because the heavy trading accumulates more USDC, right? And this is exactly what we want. And all of this is done in a very deflationary way. Actually, we are scarce, right? The beautiful thing about this ecosystem is we started with 1 million tokens, right? 1 million in supply. Now we are down to 969,000, right? So we are almost down to banning 31,000 tokens and removing them from max total supply. This is the total supply started with 1 million. Now we are down to 969, and it keeps shrinking, right? So this shows you that we have a utility, which is staking. It is the number one wallet here. This is a staking contract. We staked over 57% of the supplies locked away from circulating supply. So imagine you have a utility that you can stake and 57% is locked away. More than half of the supply is locked away staking. These individuals that are staking are receiving a sustainable staking distribution because it's driven by volume. The more volume there is, the more traders are trading, the more USDC and the more consistent and unlimited USDC you receive, right? And the more burning is happening too. And most importantly, the more liquidity is being accumulated. So this is a flywheel effect that is very unique. There's a mechanism that is very unique in the industry. The more, and we know how crypto is not developing anything. They're not manufacturers. The way crypto is being adopted and the way it grows, that network effect, is through adaptation. The more community members, the more individuals, community members that are using this platform, staking and trading, the more liquidity we get, the more tokens we burn, the more USDC distributions we get. And this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, it just becomes larger and larger. Liquidity becomes deeper and deeper, and distributions become larger and larger. So this is how this ecosystem works. It's a sustainable, community-driven platform, right? Ecosystem. And the way we expand, the way we grow, is all driven by the activities of the community in multiple ways, either through trading, right? Either through our stakes 10%, either through boosting their USDC distributions, or either through by the community itself compounding their own liquidity. Now, this platform enables, empowers, and equips you and me, the retailers, to get away from the debt-driven monetary system into a liquidity-driven monetary system. So now, instead of compounding your debts and being unable to ever repay your debts back, now you are able to compound your liquidity. Imagine that. Now you can compound your liquidity, and instead of growing your debt, like you are forced to do in the current financial monetary system, you are growing your liquidity now. And obviously, the more liquidity you have, the more your asset, that's your asset, the more liquid your asset is. And meanwhile, as you're staking, you're receiving your USDC distributions as well. So now you have a liquid asset that issues USDC distributions into perpetuity, as long as there's trades going on. There is nothing like it. There is no system like it out there. It's a unique system. And this is what's lacking in the industry, right? If you look at the largest community tokens right now, they don't have such a mechanism. They're not built to scale. They're not built to, look at this waste, inefficiency. Look at, you have 1 billion in volume, right? Let's look at the one that is with us. 300 million in volume, right? And this 300 million in volume, is it used efficiently? Where is this volume going, right? So we always do the math here. We always like to just bring this to people's attention and bring this to people's awareness, right? And we always like to look at liquidity. Liquidity is key. You need liquidity, right? Without liquidity, you can't do anything, right? And let's look at our largest community token. It has 54 million in liquidity, right? 54 million in liquidity. And it has over 300 million in volume. This is in one day. I would like to take 300. This time, let's take 300 million and let's see how long it will take to hit the 54 million in liquidity, right? If they had our ecosystem. So let's take 300. Let's just do a quick math. Let's take 300 times. So that's 3 million, right? That's 3 million. That means $3 million worth of BRL tokens will be banned right away, right? That's a lot of tokens that are going to be banned. And that means 3 million in USDC are going to be distributed to those who are staking. So this is, like I said, the staking contract, right? This is a staking contract. If we go to staking contract, this is the staking contract, and it issues USDC distributions, right? So according to our math, the 1% of 300 million is 3 million. This means that every 24 hours, based on 3 million in volume, like Shiba has, this USDC amount would be 3 million. And this goes to the 57% of the stakers. You see, there's 57% tokens staked. So that those who decide to stake will be part of this pool right here, right? And this is based on trading volume. It comes from trading, meaning that is based on the community is trading, right? So this is just the 1% that goes towards banning and USDC distributions. But most importantly is the LP, liquidity pool. It's 3%. So we have to multiply this by 3. So before we do that, keep in mind the 3 million in USDC, this is an incentive. So those who are staking their tokens, they're being incentivized, right? Because they're getting a healthy staking distributions, and they'll be happy to keep compounding and restaking, right? Because the more they stake, obviously the distributions is what they get, right? So that's a great incentive. But now let's look at the liquidity. This is the most important, liquidity, 3%. So that means we have to multiply this by 3 because it's 3%. So that's 9 million. That means 300 million, right? 300 million volume. In one day, within 24 hours, it will give us 9 million. And this 9 million is in liquidity, right? So let's look for a month times 30. 270 million. This is just in 1 month alone. Keep in mind, we just said that let's see how long it will take us to hit 54, right? How long will it take us to hit 54. Based on math, that's less than a week, 6 days. 6 times 9 is 54, right? So it will take us less than a week to have the same liquidity like they have right now. Just a week, less than a week. And but if we go for the month, if we go for a full month, and we have that type of volume, we'll be sitting on 270 million just in 1 month alone, right? This just shows you how inefficient the market is. So if this community token was efficient, was sustainable, it was supposed to accumulate this type of liquidity just in a month, within 1 month. Imagine going through a whole bull run and going through billions of dollars in volume, how much more they'll get. But let's keep it simple. This is 1 month. Let's go for a year. So we're looking at over 3 billion, 3.2 billion, right? And this is a community token, right? This is not Bitcoin, because let's look at Bitcoin. So we way surpassed the 55. Within a year, within a month, we have 5 times more than this. It takes us a week to get this type of liquidity with our ecosystem. Just a week, less than a week. A month, we are at 270 million. There is no project, no community token right now with that type of liquidity. There is none. That's why we have to compete with the largest cryptocurrency. And this is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has 1 billion, 1.1 billion in liquidity, right? And if we had, but Bitcoin has 35 billion in volume, right? 35 billion. We're only working with 300 million to make an example, to just have an idea. So it will take us 1 year to have 3 times the liquidity of Bitcoin, literally 3 times the liquidity of Bitcoin. Imagine having that as a community token. So this is why we say that the market is very inefficient, and the market is not built to be sustainable, right? So is Bitcoin, not just community tokens. Even Bitcoin is not built to accumulate liquidity, and liquidity is the number one issue why Bitcoin has been taken captive, right? Is because ETFs are sucking all this liquidity, right, from Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin had mechanisms to accumulate or retain liquidity like we do, ETFs would be irrelevant. Nobody will be bothering buying ETFs, right? They would be trading directly on centralized exchanges, right? But because lack of liquidity now, they are forced to go and get ETFs. And this is why we're trying to remain decentralized. We're trying to live up to the vision of the blockchain technology and empowering the retailers. And the only way to do that is to retain our own liquidity and to be a decentralized ecosystem that is self-sufficient, that is accumulating tons of liquidity. And like we see, based on the other community token, if we had the same volume, we would be having 3 times the liquidity of Bitcoin. And this alone would bring so much awareness, so much attention, so much hype to our ecosystem, that how come our community token has 3 times Bitcoin's liquidity within a year? And this is the aim. This is exactly the goal. This is just one of the goals. Another one is, of course, being known as the one community token that gives you the most USDC distributions. And most importantly, it's scarce. A staking platform that is literally scarce. We started with 1 million in supply, and the supply just keeps shrinking, just keeps shrinking. There is no staking platform like it. And this is very, very important. And this is the reason why we literally have such a sustainable ecosystem, is to put the community's interest at heart. We want to have a community-driven platform that is retaining liquidity, buying tokens, incentivizing the community, using volume efficiently, like we see here. Imagine Bitcoin with 35 billion, and they only have 1 billion in liquidity. If we do the math with Bitcoin, just out of curiosity, I wonder, in 1 day, how much liquidity would this volume accumulate them in 1 day? Let's do the math, just out of curiosity, right? So 35 billion. 1% of 35 billion is 350 million, just 1%, right? So if we had Bitcoin's volume, let's focus on the liquidity. So we do times 3 to have 3%. So it would take Bitcoin 1 day, just one single day, to have $1 billion in liquidity if they had our mechanism. If they had 3% that goes to retaining liquidity, right? And ETFs are charging fees, management fees, transaction fees, custodial fees, all of that, which is way more than 3%. So, but they're not. But Bitcoin cannot retain liquidity, unfortunately. If they would, it would take them 1 day to have $1 billion in liquidity, not 15 years, right? And keep in mind, this is just 1 day. So in 1 day, having our mechanisms, they would accumulate $1 billion in liquidity in just 1 day. And let's look at how long it will take it to accumulate what the ETFs have. 61 billion. Let's look at that. So that sounds like 2 months, right? So it will take to have a month. So that's half of it, right? This is 1 month. So obviously it will take Bitcoin 2 months to hit ETF's volume or liquidity, right? That's it. And let's calculate for the year. So Bitcoin, it's within a year, Bitcoin will be sitting on 378 billion in 1 year. 378 billion. That's 378 times more liquidity than they have right now. They're sitting at $1 billion. So they're missing out on liquidity based on such a volume, right? This is inefficient. And imagine Bitcoin sitting on 300 and how much? 378 billion in liquidity. This would be the most powerful asset in the world, right? This will be amazing. Imagine Bitcoin sitting on over almost 380 billion in liquidity. This will be the most traded asset in the world, right? However, it's compromised through ETFs because it doesn't have a liquidity function. It doesn't retain liquidity. And I don't care how beautiful your asset is, if it's not retaining liquidity, it's not attractive. People can't trade it because it's lacking liquidity. So this is why we focus so heavily on this community. This is why it's important to do this. And this is not to bash Bitcoin or anything. All respect to Bitcoin. It's just to show how inefficient the markets are, right? It's very inefficient. We looked at Shiba also, right? It will take us less than a week to have this volume. I mean, have this liquidity if we had this volume, right? Less than a week. And we'll have 5 times this liquidity within a year. Actually, within a month, sorry. Within a month, we'll have 5 times the liquidity of this within just 1 month, right? So this is just to show you that the markets are very inefficient. And this is just to show you that we are very early in this space. And this is also to show you that our ecosystem is forward thinking and is addressing the 4 challenges in the industry: lack of liquidity, inflation, unsustainable staking distributions, and inefficient use of volume, like we just showed here, right? You can't have 300 million in volume and you have such a low liquidity. It shouldn't be possible. Same with Bitcoin, right? You can't have 35 billion in volume and sit on 1 billion in liquidity. We just saw that based on this volume, if they had our tokenomics, it will take them a single day, 24 hours, to have this liquidity, $1 billion in liquidity. So every day Bitcoin would be adding $1 billion in liquidity every single day. So this is it, community. Let's remember what was the purpose in the first place, right? And the purpose was to be the full independency of financial institutions. This means that we have to create our own liquidity. The reason why people are so excited about being listed on centralized exchanges is because of liquidity. You know, they get the liquidity, and with liquidity comes volume. But how about accumulating your own liquidity and remaining decentralized and empowering the retailers, you and me, right? And we are not competing with Bitcoin at all. We are just referring to them because they are the number one cryptocurrency, right? So this is not a competition. This is not bashing. This is just to show how inefficient this industry is, this market is. And these are the four challenges that we talk about, right? There's lack of liquidity, right? This is why we accumulate liquidity in the first place, not just through taxes, like we said, but through the 10% as well, and through the sale of our fees, right? And then the other challenge in the industry is inflation. This is why we ban tokens and remove them from total supply, right? We started with 1 million. Now we are down to 969, right? And it keeps shrinking. The third challenge is unsustainable staking distributions, right? In USDC. This is a challenge in the industry. We are addressing that too, right? How are we addressing it? By efficiently using our volume. So with volume and liquidity, we gain more liquidity, we ban more tokens, and we retain more USDC distributions. And this keeps the ecosystem very sustainable. And that's the message for today, community. We were supposed to be free from the institutions. And the only way we can do that is by having a sustainable platform, being completely independent, right? Having our own liquidity. So we don't have to be listed on any centralized exchanges, because we have our own liquidity, have our own volume, and we are scarce, or deflationary at least. And we have great incentives for those who decide to stake. And all of this is done in a very sustainable manner because it's volume driven, right? Efficient use of volume. And the most important part, it puts you and me at the center. It puts the retailer at the heart of all of this, right? And at the end of the day, it's the retailers that benefit from it, right? Because now you have a platform that is scarce, that is banning tokens, that has deep liquidity, that attracts traders to come trade, and you're being incentivized with a sustainable staking distribution in USDC. And all of this is sustainable and efficient because it's using the volume efficiently. This is it for today, community. Let's keep in mind what Peter Thiel said, right? They got the ETF edition. ETF sucks all the liquidity out of community tokens and all these so-called crypto tokens, right? It's a mess. And in order to change the sentiment, right, that we have here, and to attract individuals like Peter Thiel and others who are crypto enthusiasts, we need to stay true, remain true to our vision, to the vision of why cryptocurrencies were developed in the first place, is to be and remain decentralized, is to be sustainable by acquiring, retaining liquidity, remain deflationary, right? And have an incentive that attracts the holders, the community, right? And do this all efficiently using your volume, and make it sustainable by and retaining liquidity in multiple different ways. This is it for today, community. Let me come back to you and check with you. Bear with me as I'm setting up the screen, and let me check if there are any questions, any feedbacks coming from your side. Meanwhile, community, we have the tweets out. I see the tweets are out. Let's engage with them. Let's ensure that we engage with the tweets that are out. And here we are. So let me check with you Again here, like I said, Killer Whale is out. Let's engage with the tweet. Survivor is out as well. And let's go through the comments here. I see my brother Peter says, hello, Steve. Happy to be here from Nakuru. Pleasure. Welcome, my brother Peter. Much regards back to Nakuru. I hope you and yours are doing well today. Thank you for being with us today. I see Queen Val says, let's engage with the video community, as this will enable us to reach as many people as possible to really participate in this. And we have Queen Grace. Queen Grace says, hello, Steve, and all of us family. Thank you once again for your dedication in enlightening us on crypto. We always get informed, educated, and every time you speak. Thank you a million times. Thank you so much, Queen Grace. You are very much appreciated as well for all the efforts you put in, your commitment and your consistency as well. It's always a pleasure seeing you in the community. I have my brother Abdullah here as well. He says, warm greetings to you all. Indeed, those with goals have a yes face. They take their time to inform, educate, and inspire others to great heights. Steve, you are very much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you too for your kind words, my great brother Abdullahi. You are very, very much appreciated. Thank you for all your great inputs, the comments, your leadership, your consistency. You're very much appreciated, my great brother. They said this is crazy. I'm sure you're referring to the calculations, I guess, that we were doing, that it will take Bitcoin only one day to achieve that 1 billion liquidity that it has accumulated within 15 years. Yeah, this just shows how inefficient the market really is, you know. But more power to us, you know. And this just shows there's a lot of room for growth and improvement in our ecosystem, in our industry. Hello, community. I was on for a minute. Had some technical challenges. I'm back. Can you please let me see in the chat. I was going through the comments here. Yes, I believe that Brother Glenn meant like I what you just said with the map, with the map. Let's continue here. Queen Val says, please, just a minute. Let's do this. Yes, absolutely. Let's do that. Like I said, here is out, dive out. Well, let's go. Who tries to become the own and join and become the own bulldozer? That's the program. The real group will be the real groups will be soon led by Brother Glenn here. So if you're on Telegram group, feel free to do so. So I hope you pretty much got down that idea. Let me check with you. So yes, Patricia says, how is the much anticipated program going to be affected by what is happening with the Bitcoin landscape? The thing with Bitcoin is that we are not tied to Bitcoin directly. So neither are we paired with Bitcoin. So what Bitcoin is doing or how it's being manipulated is really doesn't affect us directly. However, Ethereum, right? And right now you see how Ethereum is uh, being prepared to really take over or literally flip Bitcoin. And this is what will really benefit us because Ethereum is not in because Ethereum is not direct competition with the US dollar, with the fiat system, right? So it's literally harmless. So that's the reason why. And what I also want to add to this, Queen Patricia, is that Ethereum, Bitcoin literally is on its own, right? It's in its own island basically, and it doesn't have smart contracts like Ethereum has. So anything with smart contracts like stable coins, all these real world assets, tokenizations, and many more applications. This is how Ethereum is a more attractive, much more attractive asset than Bitcoin. So to answer your question, it's not going to affect us directly in any form or shape because we're not paired with Bitcoin or we're not deployed on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? We're on Ethereum. So Ethereum is what will affect us directly. So anything that happens to Ethereum, like we see all this liquidity that is about to come to Ethereum, with all these tokenizations, all this liquidity fund, and with JP Morgan having the private blockchain on Ethereum, with all these real world assets, with all these stable coins that are being launched by states, by companies, institutions, all of this is affecting Ethereum positively, right? So the more success Ethereum is about to experience, the better for us because we are directly deployed on Ethereum, right? So that's how it's going to affect us. Ethereum is going to affect us, but not Bitcoin. Bitcoin will not affect us in any way. My great brother Theo says, calculator time. Love when the professor starts playing with the numbers. Nice to see you in the community, my great brother. I'm sure in our next Telegram VC, we're going to have you do the calculations for us, great brother Theo. What do you think? Because I enjoy watching you doing the calculations too. Always a pleasure seeing you in the community. Brother Dave has a question here. Does the bulldozer only buy when USDC rewards are being distributed? Yes, that's the only way he buys, because that's where the USDC distributions come from, right? It's all based on USDC distributions. So once we start having consistent USDC distributions, that's when the bulldozer will start using or doing the buybacks. Great brother Glenn asks here, thank you, Steve, for continuing to put out great information so the community can grow. And those looking for a solid community, this is it. Well said, brother Glenn. It's all about informing and educating and inspiring. That's all we can do. And then equip, enable, empower the retailers, with a platform that is working for them. So instead of compounding debt like we are used to, we are compounding liquidity. This is something nobody's used to, right? We are so debt focused, and our financial system is debt driven, that we really have to relearn, how to use liquidity the right way, and how to be able to compound our liquidity in the form of USDC distributions for our own good, and for the good of the community, because the more individuals compound is good for their bag, because they're holding their own bags, right? But at the same time, when they compound, it affects, it burns tokens, right? It retains liquidity, and it accumulates USDC. So we're working together, like we said in our last community event. Nobody's on their own. We all work as a community. We work together. Everybody's action, positive action, affects us in a positive way as well. Queen Alice says, hi, Steve. We are learning so much. We are lucky to have you as our mentor. You are a blessing to us. May God bless you. Thank you, Queen Alice. You are very much appreciated. And you all are just as a blessing to us as well, because you are part of it. You take your time to participate in these events. You show up regularly. So you're all very much appreciated. Absolutely. It's a pleasure having you here. We have my brother Mike is here, Michael Otieno, with the explanation on liquidity. I'm just wowed. I'm glad that you are, brother Michael. I'm very glad you are, because we need to understand these. These are facts that really help us to appreciate our ecosystem, because it just shows that the market, the industry is still so inefficient, and the market doesn't focus on retaining liquidity. So all that high volume is useless. It's being wasted, and that's where we come in. This is why we focus on being efficient, using our volume efficiently, focusing on the 4 challenges in the industry, right? And that's one of the 4 challenges: inefficient use of volume, lack of liquidity, inflation, and unsustainable staking distributions. So I'm very glad that this helped you, brother Mike. Queen Nancy is here as well. Thank you, Steve, for the amazing educational YouTube live. Very well presented. This is truly your calling. I'm glad you are doing much better. Stay blessed. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for your kind and warm words. And yes, I'm doing much, much better. Thank you so much, Queen Nancy. It's a pleasure always seeing you here in the community. You are very much appreciated. Bull Run is out. Bull Run is out, community, as we see here. Thank you, Queen Val, for putting it out. And my brother Cryptorizer says, thank you, Steve, for another amazing session. Thank you, Stu, and you and your family and everybody else in the US. Happy 4th of July. I hope you stay blessed, you stay safe. Community, I want to thank you all very much. I apologize for the technical difficulties experienced today. That was gone for a little bit. But with that said, I want to thank you all for your feedbacks, your input. Thank you for your consistency, for always showing up and being part of these community events. This is what we need to do to spread the word, to really, educate ourselves, inform ourselves, and most especially also, the more we engage on these platforms, social media platforms, the more people will reach as well. So thank you very much. And I encourage us all to let's comment, interact with this video today, as we're about to wrap the session up. Let's engage with it. Let's put in some comments here, and let's engage with it. so that it will reach as many people as possible, because that's the whole idea. With that said, community, I want to once more thank you all for being here today, for participating today, for being part of this community event. You made it a success, and we are very thrilled and always happy to have you all participating in these sessions like today. I want to wish you all a wonderful rest of your week. I want to wish you and yours a wonderful time. Stay blessed, stay safe. And as always, we're looking forward to another community event. On Saturday, we have VC, a voice call on Telegram on the main account, on Bullrun account. So those new members or those that are interested in joining, I highly encourage you to be part of it. It's a more intimate setting, as it's a more open. It's open for dialogue, so if you need things in more details, or if you want to have a dialogue, share ideas, feel free to join our community, our Telegram groups. With that said, thank you very much for being part of this session today. I want to wish you all a wonderful rest of your week. Queen Patricia, I know your team is playing tomorrow, so you get a day off. Hopefully see you again on Saturday, and let's know if your team won. Community, I want to wish you all the best for today, rest of your week. Our American families, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you again on Saturday, latest by Saturday. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to all the new members. Feel right at home. With that said, bye-bye, everyone, and see you again soon.